versus the one of two remaining Draven. Can Fiora do what we're all hoping for and take one of the Dravens down, leaving just a single Draven remaining? This should be good. And yes, Fiora, a lot of people have been wondering what Fiora has been able to remain in this top 8. It looks to be a bit of a different Fiora, but the Candlelight Sanctum, it almost signals to me, is that a baited hook to kind of set up your draws? We saw baited hook Fiora do really well the previous tournament, and he also played the Sanctum. I think this might be. What do you think, Leroy?
I think the Sanctum calls a lot for baited hook usually. Let's see. But you're totally right on this part.
Just what we've seen in the past, but of course, Candlelight Sanctum, just a really great battlefield, regardless of the legend you have. And it looks to me, as we noticed from the Reaver's Row, this could not be the Miracle type Draven we just saw in the previous top 8 match. Most likely will be that cookie cutter. I say cookie cutter, but there's some spice available to Dravens, like we saw from the Mind Splitters. We even saw a Doom Breaker the other day from the likes of Draven. I didn't see who went first. And the simple fact that they're still rolling dice, I don't think they're up to the rules that just came out globally, right, Lyra? Because remember, they said that standing now decides turn order.
Yeah, but there's no standing right now. Since
From Swiss, there had to be some kind of standings, no?
Yeah, see what you mean, but overall, there's not like one was coming from a winner bracket and the other from a loser bracket. I would say they're the same overall, but
No.
yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, in Swiss, there's always a there's always a standing in Swiss.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
someone
yeah.
that went undefeated would be probably seed 1, but I think they're just haven't completely finalized those rules over in the Chinese region. But the Fiora player looking quite fancy with the vest, with the dress shirt, came prepared, look nice, play nice is the game plan. Let's see if he has that in mind. Fiora versus Draven will be our top 8 matchup for today. Who's going to be taking it forward into that semi-finals position? I know a lot of us are rooting for Fiora, but perhaps Draven still trying to make a statement. He's trying to say, I am the best, and I'm still trying to prove it in this third Spiritforged Regional.
Saying not Draven. Draven.
The League of Draven.
Here we go. He's playing his greatest fan right here. And going to start to do so. A reverse roll usually calls for the mid-range Draven, but right, Fiora going to be developed. So for those who are not familiar with the Fiora deck, this champion usually, just like an Ezreal or a Lux or Victor, likes to stay in the back and just activate his effect as many times. Sorry. Whoa. As many times as possible.
Yeah, you do get a lot of value. It's not a unit you want to push into any kind of battlefield. You want to try to leave it in base as long as you can to try to really maximize how many times you could trigger the ready a unit once it crosses the mighty status. But of course, Draven being on the play oftentimes means Draven will be first to the punch in terms of scoring first. So that's what the Overzealous fans allowing him to do, and following it up, it seems to be the most infamous turn 2 play. Bring out that Draven chosen champion to set things up going forward on this game. But as you said, Leroy, Fiora is on the board, so you are able to push out something like a brawler in this situation. It is going to be costing you quite a bit, but because the legend ability does allow you to get an additional room back, is not as expensive as a lot of people would imagine, but it's just Reaver's Row making things a little tricky.
Yeah, because you would not be able to develop Brawler on the Candlelight Sanctum because you would just get smashed by Draven the next turn for free. And that would just result in a huge loss.
Wow, we were just mentioning Fiora worthy, not a champion you want to kind of push into the board, but trying to take advantage of knowing you need to conquer where you can. And Reaver's Row is feeling okay because you're able to keep the Fiora worthy alive. But the only thing that doesn't feel too good, even though you can react with Reaver's Row, it still ends up being a combat win for Draven. So I don't love
Yeah.
it, but he is keeping Draven off from scoring more points. So I see some kind of logic to it.
Yeah, it's sacrificing. It's like, where do you place the bar in terms of value versus tempo? And it's saying right now we need some tempo.
Yeah, I could totally see what he has in mind, and did have the set brawler before goes reading it, as you mentioned, doesn't really have a likely reason to go into the candidate. He's saying, do you target the attacker first? But Cookie, you have seen this before. You know, you're the first one to respond, being the first in, last out kind of scenario. So Fiora does get retreated over to base, and that does mean a goal generated. That does mean a combat win draw. Exactly what Draven is notorious to do. And he does go up to 2 points. Now, does he want to push with this overzealous fan? Or does he back it up with the Dravens that we've seen a lot of Draven legends do?
Honestly, that's a quite good question. I have no idea what would be the correct line of play. You've got a lot of space to work with. I don't think you want to add some more pressure on reverse row because you can just back up.
Right.
So if you do this kind of play, that would be on the kinetic center.
You know, it might have been the only play coming out from Draven, but not the most optimal play when you're having to play a Noxus Hopeful for the full cost of 4 and
Yep.
nothing to follow things up. Usually it's something like a stack deck into a Hopeful, into even another card. So as a Fiora player, you're kind of liking what you're seeing. Not that Draven has
You are
completely dead
really
draws,
happy.
but not the best.
You are really happy when that happens.
Yeah, and let's take a look. So it does have the option of pushing into Reaver's Row with that set brawler. You know you're likely to win the attack if he chooses to stay, but he most likely will be retreating. So gonna be going up to 8 total might because of the set brawler ability. And that signals to me he's probably going to be going into that Reaver's Row, trying to say it. Oh, interesting. Okay. This is an interesting take. I thought he was definitely going to try to intimidate the Draven out of Reaver's Row, but instead going for the more obvious, or not obvious, but the more straightforward conquer in the Candlelit.
Yeah, I mean the fact that he used the buff was probably just to channel the rune, I guess,
Yep.
and activate Fiora's ability, knowing that anyway he would get back the buff right after. Yeah, he's going to play what's the name?
Unsung Hero. I'll pull it up here in
Unsung
chat.
Hero.
And it does
Yeah.
look to be attached with the BF sword, allowing him to
Of
keep
course.
online the Death Note trigger. So Unsung Hero is such a good card advantage card. When it's able to get off on the kill, you do get to draw 2 cards. It's a little tricky sometimes against the likes of like Aurelia when you decrease the might, but against Draven, it is a fantastic card because Draven doesn't have anything to decrease necessarily might. So you know it's staying at 5 every time it trades. So I think Fiora has a slight upper hand in terms of that battlefield right there because you have the brawler, the unsung hero at 5, and there's not too much might pressure to push on forward. But speaking of advantage, the point tempo does favor Karma at the current moment as he is going up to 3rd point of this game number 1. So this is interesting because I really thought you pushed the Draven back. Can you think any reason why you didn't really necessarily want to try to conquer Reaver's Row, Leroy? Is this just a different line he sees?
Because he had a lot of runes, honestly, and you're like, if I get in, I'm just going to die. And I can take the safer path, wait until I get to 7 and then just go in with 3 punch first. I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
speaking of punch first, he did have a punch first, but perhaps didn't really want to use it in that situation. So maybe, as you said, he was probably a bit scared of the combat tricks coming out from Draven because he'll go up to 6. It's still 6 to 8. A spinning axe would bring him up to 9. And then, Fiora doesn't really have access to little simple might increases. You're having to invest a lot with punch first. That's going to be 2 runes. Call to Glories isn't as prevalent in Fiora decks, but we've seen them before. So, I mean, usually Call to Glory can be used
yeah,
easily
it
for a
depends
buff.
what you run.
And what was that?
Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I just said. Oh my god.
No, it's all good. It's all
Uh,
good. Guys,
yeah, maybe I've
Leroy's
started
been
to
up for quite some time, but it is all
yeah,
good. We'll try to do this one game, and then I think we'll let you rest, Leroy. Well
yeah. I
deserved.
think I will need.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. But let's see if we could keep it just for this game 1. So trying to realize what he wants to get done on this turn. Has about
Yeah, no,
2.
okay. Yeah.
Well,
Um, one thing that is really interesting is that Draven had a lot of rune up and uh, did not develop a lot, and Fiora on her side um, did not go into the combat tricks and yet develop the BF sword, the unsung hero, a lot of things. And it seems that there's a technical issue right now.
on the in the room of what exactly went down, but it is Draven's turn. Has a full breath of runes to try to get something accomplished this turn. First things first, gonna be pushing the hopeful, trying to follow things up with perhaps a spinning axe, and against all odds, +2 might for every enemy unit. That's gonna be 4 mites, bringing up that to 8 total might.
Yeah, that's a lot and no power required. So that's a really good buff.
Yeah, is that buff going to be enough to take down the 2 might? And it's a
Okay.
cleave. We rarely see cleaves on Draven. This Draven's kind of cooking here. A main board against the odds. A main board cleave. Bringing that into an impressive, I believe, what is that? 11 total might? 8 plus the 3?
Yeah, so he's got the punch first, but it really feels like a bait where you invest the punch first and then you get yeah, denied the buff by any combat trick that there could be.
You're so right. If something like Rebuke comes down, you just invested 2 runes. You just tried it. Yeah, I mean, you just invested the punch first as well. So, Set Brawler going up to, I believe, 6 total, 10 total might. And the fighter flight sending the unsung hero back. He's saying, you wanted 2 draws. I'm going to be neglecting you those 2 draws. And I'm just going 1 for 1 on the Set Brawler. I say 1 for 1, but you're going to be saving by 1 single might. So Set Brawler getting down and Draven looking in a really dominant position with the Set Brawler going down just now.
Yeah, and it does not feel like he used so like so many resources to do that. It was just against all odds and a cleave, which is yeah, there are small cards. They are not that critical, and yet he used them to win a battle that was really important. Uh,
Yeah.
this being said, there was a fight of blood invested, but there was to counter, and it's here, especially for this, it was to counter the punch first from Fiora.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. A cleave and against the odds, they don't cost any power to increase the might. On the other hand, for the Fiora player, you had to invest 2 body runes to get that done, effectively setting you back an entire turn where you could have been a little bit higher, set up kind of a hardness dragon play if you had it in hand, like chat was letting us know a little bit earlier. But now you can't even play that, so having to kind of pivot the game plan. You weren't expecting to kind of deploy the punch first as early as that turn, but he did have 1 rune available, so perhaps he did take that into account. But now Draven's trying to consider, am I staying on the battlefield? And the answer is no. but it looks like he's gonna have to leave the Noxus Hopeful, and Unsung Hero doesn't feel all that bad pushing in, because if you get the Conquer, that is a Conquer of course. If you lose the Unsung Hero, you should be able to get 2+ draws for your trouble. So I don't hate the Fiora position, but Draven for sure in a bit of a commanding lead.
Yeah, just like you said, the unsung hero will need to do a lot of work here. And there's one card that I'm counting on to kind of reverse the matchup, and that's the Repulse that we saw already do so much work into this matchup.
Yeah, it really does so much work into a lot of matchups. But I'm trying to catch. I don't know why. I just can't see what's in Fiora's hand. I see a hidden blade. It might
There's
be
a
the
riposte.
angle.
There's a riposte.
Yeah, it does have a repose. I believe it's a Pit Rookie Hidden Blade repose. And there's something I can't make of.
That's the Harness Dragon.
Oh, that's what it is. So perfect. Now that we get this camera angle, the Harness Dragon repose, and then the other two cards we mentioned before. So that's what's in the hand. The Hidden Blade and the Pit Rookie. So not the most impactful cards. I mean, Hidden Blade is okay, but we are talking about giving Draven even more draw. Unless you're going to be using it on your own, you just don't have any units to benefit from this Fiora worthy at the very moment. Pit Rookie gonna be just going up to 4 might, just 1 might shy of triggering your legend. And oh, you never like to see this position. You don't want to push up with your Fiora worthy, but you have to do what you have to do sometime. He wants to try to kick out this battlefield and conquer, but it's a switcheroo. The unsung hero gonna be brought down under the mighty threshold, not allowing this Fiora to draw 2. That is a big turn for Draven.
Yeah, I hope that. I mean, still the first game, but that's the moment where you're like, do I go next?
Yeah, but of course, keep in mind there is a riposte that is targetable on the switcheroo, and then you give 2 might to one of the characters. I think if you give 2 might to either or, they both survive the Noxus Hopeful. But of course, Draven does have 3 runes available, and I think he resolves the switcheroo. Would you have riposte there? Does that feel like a good target for riposte?
Think so.
I
Because you're
think so,
saving
right?
2 units, you're preserving your draw. You're doing a lot of stuff here.
Yeah, I'm wondering what he's saving the repose for, because that seemed to be a fantastic option. Like you said, you get +2 draws, or I don't even think you would have got the draw. You would have just saved both your units. So, oh, his opponent's like, wait a second, what are you drawing for? But he's looking from the candlelit. I didn't get to see what his options are to scry one, put one at the top, or put one at the bottom, or both at the bottom if he decides to do so. And no, yeah, he has it at a weird angle. We can't see.
Yeah. Now Fiora still has some runes to work with. 5 if the way is correct. Do you consider hiding that hidden blade? Do you consider equipping the BF sword on Fiora? There are a lot of options here.
Yeah, either on Fiora or the Pit Rookie doesn't feel that bad. With the Pit Rookie, it does allow you to push forward and get the 4th conquer of your turn. But then you're just playing into Draven's game, right? You have the Draven champ in the back. You're just at the 5 might. Draven, of course, we know he can get up to 6 at the minimum when he attacks and he defends. So this is just not a really great position you want to find yourself against a Draven, of course. Hidden Blade, if he does push in with the Pit Rookie, you want to try to follow that up with something like a Hidden Blade. But wherever the hidden card, the Draven champ is just going to go to the other side, because you could either go to Fiora or to Reaver's Row. So let's see. It looks like he does attach it. The legend does come online, and the Fiora worthy does allow Pit Rookie to push in as soon as it came out. So it looks like he's going to be able to conquer Reaver's Row. But what else can he do on top of that? The harness, the hidden blade, and what is the... Did we already see the last card Fiora might have had?
Uh, wait, no, I'm not sure.
I mean, we should be able to see it rather
Repost,
shortly.
repost, honest,
Oh yeah,
hidden blade.
perfect, perfect. Yeah, it was the repost as he saved it, not
Yeah.
reposting the hidden blade. So it looks like Karma trying to do some math here, trying to decide if he goes ahead and conquers. I mean, what is he trying to decide? Does he have something? Okay, fight or flight seems to be the likely target. I thought he was thinking about a ride the wind type play because that's usually would be pretty good here. You could push up your Draven, you could conquer on your opponent's turn, and then hold on your turn, of course. But could be risky. Could be a calculated risk, but risky nonetheless. Does
Yeah.
decide to push back the pit rookie, so fight or flight getting deployed out. I mean, Reaver's Road would have done just that, but doesn't want Cookie to get too much points on the board, so keeping him locked in at that odd threshold, which you realistically never really want to be at, as you're only able to conquer to 5, conquer to 7. That's if you conquer each and every turn, of course, 2 battlefields at that. So I think I like the
Exactly.
game plan from Draven so far.
Also, I think he's trying really hard, and I like that to control the BF sword and to make it so that it's always in the base and that it can't be reused on some other units as much as possible. Because the strength of Fiora with this BF sword is that you will equip on one unit, send it to die, trade heavily, then equip on another unit, repeat again and again. And if you can't send this unit to die, then it's just not working.
Yeah, that is a little good point. We've seen Fiora make full use of those equipments by trading, reattaching, re-readying, sending in their other units. So I think Fight or Flight is pretty good here, neglecting not only the points, but keeping the BF sword locked up against that pit rookie. So I think Fiora most likely having to pass the turn. Or did he already pass the turn as Draven has full runes up right now? Yeah, and he definitely did as he's pushing forward with the
Yeah,
overzealous.
and that's why he sent the Fiora away so he could just. Oh
Wow.
yeah, now he's thinking I didn't play around that. I think.
Yeah, you know, one of these cards being the center of attention on the previous round, the Mind Splitter into the Free Buke is what added into an immense amount of a break time just before this round, but it looks like he paid everything according. So Mind Splitter coming down and taking care of one of these 3 cards. Hidden Blade, a great option. Harness Dragon, a decent option, but because you're not able to play it immediately on the next turn, I'm not too worried about it. Repose and Hidden Blade is what I'm looking for. And honestly, Repose can make a world of difference. So I feel like just taking that away from the Fiora player might be the likely target. But if you're trying to prioritize the safety of your Draven, maybe you just take Hidden Blade out because he could actually use Hidden Blade on this turn.
Uh, yeah, that could totally be an option. Um, Maybe you also don't want your opponent to hidden blade his own units so that he could come back in terms of draw. Yeah, and you were totally right.
You know, this Fiora player not representing the Fiora fans as good as well as a lot of people were hoping for. Draven goes in after revealing the full hand, understanding there is no punch first, there is no call to glories. This is a free conquer, this is a free draw from your combat wins. So Draven just little by little running away with this game, going up to 6 total points. Or I guess with the conquer, no, the 5 points just now.
Yeah, and it feels like Draven is starting to be in a quite commanding lead.
And it actually was
Fiora, like,
6. Okay.
yeah, because it was on even numbers.
Right.
And yeah, you just say Fiora was an odd, and she did not even score much. Uh, yeah, she's behind in runes, she's behind in draw, she's behind on the board. It looks dire.
Oh, very, very dire. This is almost a position where you want to concede, but he made it here for a reason, not for the lack of effort. He wants to keep trying, even though, as you mentioned, behind in every single aspect of the game, battlefield presence, units, runes, card economy, every little bit, it feels very, very tough spot. But at the little bit, let's see what he draws. Just see what his next potential lines could have been. But I wouldn't blame him because Pit Rookie probably can't even conquer one of these battlefields. You have a Harness Dragon that's a dead draw. You have a Riposte that's not going to be able to come online if your opponent doesn't do anything. And Pit Crew's swinging in for 5. You can't even take down a Draven. And you definitely can't take down a Mind Splitter. So if he doesn't draw anything like a might increase, that is actually GG. It's a death grip, but has no units to benefit from the death grip. That is actually GG right
So
here.
he can harness dragon on Draven, right?
2, 4, 6, 8. Ah, he did hit. He does have exactly enough runes. I thought he was 1 rune shy.
And then conquer. Maybe he's tilted. But yeah, no. So that's the only option right now. And you're praying that your opponent doesn't have what it takes to, well, to retake.
Yeah, and of course we all know what the likes of Draven can bring to these games. You do have things like Spinning Axe. We saw that against the odds. We saw things like Cleave. So I'm willing to bet there's another card just like that, as Karma going up to his 7th point has the Noxus Hopeful in the back to push against his Pit Rookie. Fiora completely tapped out. What do they have? Even if they don't have the options right now, I see a stacked deck, so you're looking for the options, and it had it already. A Spinning Axe, just
Yeah,
keep it
and
as
GG.
straightforward as you can.
That's
GG.
yeah.
That's right, Ray. A Draven taking down game number 1 of this top 8 and looking pretty good. I would be surprised if Fiora makes a big impressive comeback, because it looks like Draven trying to solidify and continue that Draven train, the Draven dominance that we're used to seeing from the previous regionals.
On the field is also just very good as well, but it is more likely to be a beta variant. You pop the unsung heroes, get your 2 draws, throw down a big dragon explodes something. So the combo's there.
Yeah, if it wasn't any bit more obvious, the Tri-Fury Warcamp kind of seals the deal on the fact that this is indeed a beta hook. You never see a Tri-Fury. Actually, Tri-Fury is not bad. You have like the Fiora champion, as we're seeing here from set 1. You push that into Tri-Fury, and as easy as a standard move that enters into mighty status, turns her ganking, turns her deflect, turns a shield on, and on top of that, the legend does get proc. So Tri-Fury is good alone, but even better with the beta hooks. And that alone, I am impressed that the last surviving Fiora is another baited hook, as we saw the Shangdu go all the way to the semifinals. Can they do a bit of a repeat run, trying to bring it back in a 2-0 way? Because Draven up 1 game in this quarterfinals. Let's see what they have, as they decided to go on the draw to most likely develop that set 1 champion. Do you like being on the draw against the Obelisk Power battlefield?
I think in this matchup, because Dravens seem to always play Obelisk second, it just seems to be like they can't pick the other one third. Does that you're going to be getting 4 ruins on your first turn, and since, like you said, you want to get this Fiora out as quick as possible so it can become mighty on the battlefield, it does seem to be you don't really mind going on the play so much with this one, because you know that your turn 2 is going to be very explosive.
Right, and it is pretty good. As we said, he could just simply step into the Tri-Fury Warcamp, activate the legend ability, get an extra rune, and for the time being, you can even gank over to Obelisk of Power if you're able to hold down that battlefield. So you are going to be first to the punch, first to the conquer, which always feels good, because in game 1, it was the other way around. But this Draven player seems like he's very calculated. He takes his time, seems to be playing very patiently, taking full advantage of these times, or taking full advantage that these rounds are untimed, I should say. So let's see what he goes ahead and sets things up for now. Do you think it's something as simple as just the chosen champ as we've seen before?
Well, yeah, he's going for it anyway. I'm always concerned when you play your chosen champ like your turn 2 or turn 3. It does feel like it's a Hail Mary play where you kind of have to do something. And it's kind of a bit of a shotgun kind of play where it's either going to work out fully or you're just going to like crumple on the following turn. Again, with the Fiora going into the Trifarian, which is the best of the two here to be sitting on, you're already at the Might of 5. If there's a punch first in hand, although the ruins aren't really helping that right now, Fiora does become this giant monster. But at the same time, I think we saw a BF in hand, so Fiora could go to 8 this turn, which would make it harder for the Draven. I don't know if we saw any combat tricks or a spinning axe in the hand of the Draven player. So Fiora would be sitting pretty on the Triforian Warcamp if that was the case.
Yeah, I do believe so, especially when we take into consideration there is actually another punch first, as we saw in game 1. Wasn't the most impactful, but in this situation seems to be rather good nonetheless. But trying to decide where does he want to push Fiora, because he also has the option of something like a Pit Rookie. That's going to be enabling you to get into that mighty status as well with the Fiora set 1 champ. So options available, but I think he's thinking a bit what you were saying, Alguito. The BF sword, you bring it out for 4, attach it, and then you enter mighty, and then you're gonna have a big, strong, shielded unit at that. But no, okay, going for the other play we were mentioning with the Pit Rookie.
Yeah, so no, I'm happy for this. Obviously, you're already mighty off the battlefield, which is really good, which means when you go to Trifarian, you already get 6. So you can test the Draven if it does go for its power ability. Again, it's a bit awkward depending on what's in the hand. Obviously, with Dravens, we know there's fight or flights. Paying the extra one for the deflect cost isn't terrible. I'm wondering if there's also a first mate in hand so you can gank across and get the 2 points this turn.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as well. That is going to be a decent investment as you're not completely tapped out. But speaking of completely tapped out, he is going for it. He is risking it all because you don't have any kind of counterplay. So if Draven can just do some simple math, if you have enough spinning axes to overtake this Fiora, it's very similar how when you take down the chosen champion from these Draven players, things just start slipping away from that moment. So how much total might are we working with? The shield brings it up to 5, the buff is 6, and then the BF sword, I believe, would bring it all the way up to 9, right?
So Draven's currently short by 1 damage point, with the Overzealous and Draven going in with the powered ability. Again, if they have any combat tricks, it's not too bad if you're paying the cost of deflect if it is a fight or flight. Switcheroo might be good as well. Again, you're paying the extra cost. But overall, for Draven to get into this fight and just basically start winning it would be the plan. We are going to get rid of that with the factory, I believe it is.
And what was the name of that card again?
I think it's Factory Recall.
That's what it is. Factory recall. You bouncing equipment back to hand. So the BF sword no longer available to keep that Fiora champion nice and buffed up. But oh man, we said it was risky.
No, it's still mighty. I think the Draven player didn't realize it's still mighty and has shield. So the Draven player's now walked into his own doom. Do we have a spinning axis to contest that 6-on-6 action is the question.
Oh, did he not activate? No, he did activate. So it's 6 with the buff is 5, and then with the shield is 6-6. If he doesn't have a spinning axe, that might be the exact misstep that Fiora was hoping for. You see the smile? That's a smile of pain. He's smiling, but okay, having to invest what he needs to do to get over the Fiora, and things are not looking good for the Fiora player. He needed this champion to survive, and now you're left behind for a Pit Rookie. At least you have, actually, you don't even have a BF sword. The Factory Recall is such a good card because you're having to invest 4 additional runes on your turn. It's such a tempo play against these Fiora players. Great sideboard addition from Draven.
Yeah, I don't know if it is a sideboard card or if it is like a 1 or 2 of in the main deck, as again, this is the equipment / gear meta right now. It makes sense to have some form of removal just in the main deck. But no, a great card, as you said. I would rather it go back to hand than instantly just being destroyed. So that way at least I can play out again and then make something mighty again, get the buff from Fiora, and then keep going that way. But yes, I'd rather not have to pay 4 every turn to play my big sword out.
Yeah, it is kind of expensive.
Isn't terrible, because you can just walk that in with the BF sword, go Mighty, get your channeling in, and then maybe go to Teferians and just try and hold out there as a 6 might unit. But yeah, there has to be something in the hand to try and make this a bit more cost efficient for the Fiora.
Yeah, you are right. Let's see what he has in mind, because Draven seems to have a decent amount of cards in hand. I believe one of those might have been the Thunder Song, but Overzealous fan, because you're able to neglect some kind of conquer push from your opponent, does decide to just get points where you can. So going up to 2 for Karma, kind of bringing it back. Actually, no, he was on the play already. I was going to say kind of turning things around, where usually your opponent's the one scoring first. But does he decide to fully tap out? 4 runes remaining. What can he get done? Because we haven't been able to catch exactly what he has in hand for Draven. Have you, Agito, caught a little bit of a glance at it?
Not specifically, because he has been kind of holding it in that downward position. If they want to switch that camera mode so we can see the hand, that'd be great, but maybe themselves are in the same kind of predicament where they're not really getting that good angle on the hand.
Right. Kind of keeping it a bit secretive to everyone, because usually players don't hold it all stacked together. You kind of have them spread apart to see your available options. But slowly but surely, things will get revealed, and we will see exactly what this Draven has been working with in this early game. Looking like he wants to leave the 4 runes available on his opponent's turn. Kind of signals to me perhaps another spinning axe. We saw that against all odds. That works on offense and on defense. So I mean, it's just gonna be a net 2 might, but it's a net 2 might at the least as well. Probably enough to take down a pit rookie. But okay, Overzealous backing up the Draven. He's saying you're not going to conquer any of these battlefields this turn. This is tough to break through.
It is quite hard to break through. We also saw a Kaiser underneath that Overzealous fan. This is a kind of a weird position to be in for the Fiora now, as you are off the play and off the turn. As you said, spinning axes could still be in hand. It could also be a hard bargain, because you know, as the Draven player, having to push back against this riposte every now and again. The hand isn't looking too bad though. We have a riposte, or at least one riposte, maybe 2. There's a set brawler in there that can be becoming quite powerful quite quickly. We have a matron in there. Again, as you said, this is probably more the beta dog variant with the matrons. So if we can just see a first mate maybe come down, get some action going, get that into rotation to the trash, and then get the matrons going, I can see this being a bit more efficient for for Cookie. But again, Karma here is having a lot more of a precedented Draven time.
Right, I think a key piece that Cookie's missing, besides of course the obvious baited hook, he doesn't have that Fiora worthy, allowing those set brawlers to be able to push as soon as they hit the board. So if he did, he would be in a little bit of a better position. But even with that into consideration, you still have to break through the double overzealous trouble that's standing in front of him. He's saying, you know what? Either we trade. I like this from me. Say either you kill off, I get the conquer, or you're gonna push me back, or we're just gonna trade, of course. But I have a little bit more, I believe, a punch first, but it doesn't seem that great to invest a punch first right here in this very moment. As Draven, I'm not gonna activate. You're gonna take the trade, at least offer the trade at the minimum.
I think in this play, yeah, you're offering the trade. You want to see if they want to push back, or if they've got something for those 2 runes in hand. Because if they go, no, we'll fight, you can then turn around and say, all right, I'll punch first, because they can't overpower you with the spinning axes then, if that's the case. Or if they do activate the spinning axes, you can just punch first and you become bigger, and then you're both at 2 points. So I think equaling out the score for the Cookies the best thing they can currently do right now, or making it so they can only gain 3 on the hold. Obviously, we've seen the Kaiser in hand, and they can just accelerate that next turn. They do trade. But also in Draven, you're also running Darius, which is also one of those cards that can just come in, get readied if it's the second card or gets a card played after it, making it very hard to sort of keep these battlefields off the play. Although we do see a matron now going to go to 5, which would make it mighty for this turn. So I don't hate this play either. Again, this is probably the most efficient play you can do currently in the game, as we don't have the newer Fiora in the trash or even in hand. But no, I'm happy with this to try and just get some kind of priority going with these extra bodies on the field now.
Yeah, honestly, I'm right there with you. That was fantastic sequencing. Realizing that Draven was most likely going to be offering up the trade, the pit rookie hits the trash and the matron to bring it back. And then, as you mentioned, Fiora Legend comes online because matron goes from 4 to 5 cores and then completely exhausting out to bring that BF sword. But because nothing's on the battlefield, you don't feel too bad about tapping out of cores. But something you do feel a bit bad about is Draven going and holding up to his 3rd point. You have a 2-point advantage on your opponent. This is the exact position you want to be. And to make matters worse, the Mind Splitter coming down. There was a good amount of great cards, and now they will be revealed to your opponent. That's a double riposte, a set brawler, and a punch first. If you are the Draven player, Agito, what are you eyeing here?
So you have to think like, what's in my hand? If he's going to be looking at doing the switcheroo plays, getting rid of a riposte is probably the best play here. But having 2 of them in the hand even makes that very awkward. The set brawler becoming in being a mighty unit on its by itself is also going to be something you want to be looking at here. Punch first is always a great counterplay to anything you want to fight with. So the Draven's probably looking at his hand now and going like, what is the best thing for me here? And I think it's either going to be the punch first or the set brawler. Keep your Fiora off their units, as that is their biggest detriment for this gameplay.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Either one of those 2 single cards in the hand. The punch first, as you mentioned, such a key piece to the to defending the battlefields for Fiora. In this circumstance, I'm leaning towards that brawler because it's one of the only units. Let's say if Fiora draws and doesn't draw any units, you're stuck with a pit rookie and a matron to do the heavy lifting going forward. So I think that is the decision the Draven decided to go with. Do you go ahead and retreat back your units? Are you a little bit fearful of the BF sword going up to 9 might on the Draven, pit rookie going up to 11? That's going to be more than what you're currently, actually 9, 10, 11. It will go 1 for 1, but you do have Overzealous Fan to send things back. So maybe you hold it down, but it looks like he thinks otherwise. Going to be going back as he is ahead on points. So I think this does make sense.
Yeah, this is a play from Debate. As you said, they're a bit more concerned about just losing the Draven, which is kind of your mainstay defender and battler here. Although, do you want to be cheeky and try and get yourself to 3 points, or do you want to try and hold a battlefield for the turn as you are off the play again? I don't hate making the matron go to 8, as it would just should be a big body to contest maybe the Mind Splitter coming in at one of the battlefields next turn. But again, we had seen kind of an empty-ish hand. I didn't see what the draw was here. But if we could try and get something mighty this turn, maybe, as you said, put it on the pit rookie, make it mighty, gets your ramp going with your Fiora again. Just try and do something to keep yourself in the game going forwards. But no, I think the Draven's done the best thing he could here. Why lose a unit when you're still ahead?
Yeah, on top of that, he was completely tapped out, so didn't have anything to back up those units, but the draw was the call to glory. We were just wondering if one of those top decks is going to be something like a spell. He has no units to progress this board state. Fiora not feeling in a wonderful position. It almost looks like, I don't want to call it too soon, I never do, but Fiora might be losing this in a 2-0 fashion. You don't want to say it too early, but taking a look at the current predicament of things, the matron, yes, you could conquer, yes, you could send the pit rookie, that's going up to 3, but then you're exposing yourself with just a punch first. We don't know exactly what's in the hand of this Draven, but the lack of units is really hindering Fiora from establishing the board presence that she probably needs to get back in this game. You know, BF Sword is one step, getting in his channel rune is another step, but what do you realistically do? Do you want to split the difference or just stack a battlefield? Seems to be the decisions being made, and he does decide to go for 2 for those 3 points, but it seems a little risky to me.
I think for the Fiora, because they are off the play again without any units in hand, they are just having to go, if I just get a few extra points here, maybe I can try and slow down Draven's battle plan. They have to split their units up here if they want to fight me. Obviously, Ride the Wind would come in and basically decimate that plan straight away, but we could just see them saying, hey, I'll move the Draven into Teferian Warground, I'll get the extra might, I'll use my power play, I'll go up to 7 might, so I'm 1 higher than the pit rookie. I didn't see if there's any runes left open. There are runes left open though, and we do know there is that punch first in hand. So again, they're in a really good position to just hold either battlefield. depending on how they want to place out their units. And I think that's the plan. Try and make Draven over commit to a battlefield and then just punch back as much as they could.
Yeah, with that in mind though, all you have to do is try to play around a punch first, but you know that might not be the only combat trick as we're seeing coming out in Fiora's hand. You have to play around an increase of 8. I don't think a lot of players are prepared to deal with an increase of 8 might on either of these battlefields. Of course, you can save it for each of these individual units, one on the punch first, one on the call to glory. It should be quite fruitful in this kind of offensive push that Draven's trying to mount going forward. But as I said, if you could kind of do the math and maybe try to account for double punch first and make sure you're cleanly over, it's a little tough because if you get a good amount over one of these units, you guarantee the conquer go up to 4, and then from there you try to just hold on the even point tempo. Draven's still in a good position, I want to say. So this is going to be a pivotal turn. If he takes down at least one of these units, I'm still liking Draven's position. If somehow Fiora manages to hold both of these battlefields, she might just be in it to win it.
Yeah, there's still a good chance here. Obviously, Draven's seen the hand. He knows there's the punch first. He knows there's the 2 riposts. So Draven's going to be scared about having to use a switcheroo, maybe. Yeah, obviously not a battlefield, that's fine. Draven will be going to 7, plus spinning axe to 10.
Yeah, 10 currently without the attack ability, of course, because it would normally go up to 12. Or with it, as you said. Actually, no. Is that more? Because you said up to 10. It would be 6 plus a 3, 9. And then, yeah, 12 total with the cleave. If he does decide to trigger the Fury.
Yeah, so he's in a very good position here, which is one less than he needs to go over the, as they call it, troll chant or call for glory and the punch first. He's got the runes for it, and he's also got the runes to keep them up for another riposte. So they're in a really good position. It just depends how this Draven wants to sequence these plays now.
I believe so. So goes into the Matron. Matron currently defending for 5. So not even a punch first. Is going to have to take the full combo we were talking about before, the punch first on top of the call to glory to take down the Draven. But we're also not taking into account what could be looming in the remaining hand for Draven. He still has a couple runes to work with. I say a couple, but every rune to work with. One more spinning axe will change the complete math, and these are the only combat spells available to Fiora. If you take both of them down, or if you expend both of them and you still get brought down, that is a very losing position. That's 2 card resources taken out, and then you still end up losing your unit. So he's going for Agito, trying to go up to 13.
And say I think he's popping the, no, he's going to use his full cost. Yeah, so he's going to go plus 3, so that's the 8, and then with the 5, yeah, he's going to go for 13. So he's just trying to be 1 more might above the Draven, try to get him off the draw. Obviously, depending on what's in the hand, we also have access to 2 more riposts here because it's 2 and 2, right? So yeah, there's still 4 runes available. So you try and do any combat tricks here with a card, and you get that riposte, and then you go into 15. So yeah, you're in a really good position now as the Fiora.
I believe so. You're praying that there's no spinning axe because Repulse has to target a spell, of course. If it's something like a spinning axe, as we saw earlier on, you can't counter that, and that's exactly what Draven needs. The simple fact that he's not slamming it onto the board, kind of indicative that he doesn't have the answers he's looking for. He probably has a spell like a cleave. Probably against the odds, both of those spells are repostable, and Draven not winning the combat. That is big. That's Fiora most likely holding 1 battlefield, going up to 4 on the next turn. But Mindsplitter now with the spinning axe, trying to consider about the Triferian War Camp. That one seems like you have to give it up, as we said, we just used your only combat trick, so you're not able to defend the pit crew there, or the pit rookie.
That's the issue, yeah. You're just trying to keep yourself in a position where you will also be going to 4 next turn, so you keep in pace with the point score here. BF Sword, though, is now available for the Matron or any card that comes out next turn that could become mightied. So, again, they're in a good position. Although they better equip that axes before it becomes dissipated into the ether. So remember, it is temporary, so you've got to get that onto something this turn.
Very true. Most likely going to be equipping that after playing something. That way, I guess you could float, of course, but just a little bit cleaner play. Don't have to float anything. And we did see a Kaiser Survivor. That seems like an obvious pick just to keep that baseline or the back line feeling nice and healthy. As we see the Kaiser getting played out, I wouldn't blame him for keeping a couple runes available. As we caught glance of what he does have in hand, it was indeed of against all odds. So trying to keep that as a defensive option for your Mind Splitter. But how is Fiora gonna be pushing forward? 2 riposts in hand. If she draws into a spell, that might just be GG alone, because Draven goes up to 5, you only go up to 4. So tit for tat, it looks like the point leaning in the direction of Draven every turn that gets passed. So even if Draven did nothing, if Fiora doesn't draw a Fiora worthy, I mean, even if she did, you're gonna have to send your Fiora worthy into one of these battlefields. So it's just looking really, really rough for Fiora thinking about further turns.
Yeah, if the Draven set up correctly here, they know they can't go into the battlefield with the might they've currently got on the field. As you can probably see, the hand isn't really ready to fight a 13 might unit with 2 riposts available in the hand. Again, as the chat has said, really needs to draw a good unit right now, just to try and get some more board presence going. Unfortunately, that was
Oh,
going to be a sword.
did you see the draw?
Yeah, BF sword. I mean, to be fair, it's not terrible. You can just put both of these BF swords onto the matron if you wanted to, and that gives it +6. So it is a 11 might unit sitting on the field, happily staring at you with 2 riposts in hand. So I don't hate what's going to happen here. It's just I wish there was a unit for Fiora to sort of try and keep advantage, as they are 1 point off the play.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, you could defend as much as you want, but you're just not able to win in terms of holding. You just held to 4. Your opponent's gonna hold to 5, and if you keep going back and forth this way, Draven's gonna be hitting that victory 8th point first, of course, as we keep reiterating. So even Kaiser, let's see how much presence is on that battlefield. So we said 5 plus the 3 is up to 8, plus the 3 more up to 11. So Kaiser needs 1 more. Actually, she's going to need a little bit more than that. I think, do you just stack everything up on Triferian and almost like guarantee the hold every single turn? Because, as I said, all you need to do is hold your way to victory at this point for Draven.
Yeah, that's the plan right now. There's not really much you can see from the Fiora coming down here. Their play would next turn have to hope for maybe a hidden blade to pop something on the Teferian war camp. Then maybe pick up a Harness Dragon or vice versa, just to try and clear the board a little bit more. They are in a good position still, but I do think Draven's play right now is to try and just hold down the Treferian war camp. Yeah, it's not so great to not take 2 battlefields a turn, but keeping this for 3 more turns is more likely than having to fight into the 11 cost matron with any battle tricks you have, knowing there's enough runes open for the riposte to take you back out.
Right. Something I do want to point out. I mean, granted, Fiora did find herself in this top 8 position, so probably has played amazing this regional series long. However, Fiora has yet to see the baited hook. We might be seeing the draws of Fiora when they don't have those baited hooks, which is why I know I asked you earlier, what Fiora do you like better? We both kind of agreed that the mid-range version tends to be more consistent, because we're seeing here without the baited hook, it's just feeling like it falls short against the likes of Draven. And man, developing his board presence, the Forerunner, the Mind Splitter, the Overzealous, the Kaiser with the spinning axe, he's trying to conquer both battlefields on this next turn. And speaking of hook, oh no, he finally did draw the hook. But where are the units, Aguito? Do you really want to sacrifice your matron on this in this occasion?
Apparently you do. I'm concerned, but at the same time, I'm in the same mind that they are, where it's like, I can't really do anything with this matron. There's like 22 might or something looking at me on the other side of the field. I need to find something like a Harness Dragon.
Not too bad. That was the immediate next hit. And it's actually 2 Harness Dragon. I wish Baited Hook said play the same card. If you draw 2 of the same card, play them both down, because that would be the only way of getting out of the situation for Cookie. At the minimum, like you said, it is 1 Harness Dragon, meaning you're able to take down at the least a Mind Splitter, so -7 from that equation of Draven trying to clean things up the next turn. So of course, it will be the obvious pickup. but it's just not enough when we're taking into account the remaining units on Draven's board. And to make matters worse, there's no kind of acceleration of capabilities for Harness Dragon to push up onto these battlefields. So that's just a free 1-2 conquer, something like a Zealous, something like, oh, goes for the Kaiser, so the temporary goes down. That's actually smarter there.
Yeah, that's the play I thought it was going to go with, because they are both 7 might, but at the same time, getting rid of a body and the very effective equipment makes sense to be 2 for 1ing rather than just getting rid of the Mind Splitter. Although, if we do see another dragon from the top next turn, that Mind Splitter is definitely going out.
Yeah, you know, he just put one back at the bottom, so it might be a teeny bit too much to ask for to hit the 3rd dragon off the top 5, but definitely not impossible. We did say Draven had straightforward conquer, so sends in the overzealous, goes up to 6. And from this point, if you have any more units, you don't feel bad just going on to develop the base game plan. Oh, okay, might as well go to 7 and say, take them both if you dare. I have against the odds. I know you got to repose, but if you want to play your dragon, I don't even think he has the dragon, but if you want to play any units that really make an impact, you might not have those repose at the ready. And I'm seeing just too many good cards, Aguito. I saw the Fight or Flight. I think this might just be GG. The final, this might just be a little extra salt on the wounds on us, honestly. I think he won a couple turns ago.
Yeah, I think so too. The Fight or Flight here is probably never really getting used because they know about the riposte still, and it's just there for baiting them into like walk in, hopefully think they'll fight and flight it. You'll riposte it, you'll get a little bit bigger, you'll give something else a little bit less might. Didn't see all the top draws. You do kind of have to hope it's a Harness Dragon or maybe a First Mate, so you can walk the dragon into the other arena, take out the other Zealous fan. If they don't want to trade and push you back out, you can then go into the First Mate to try and push out the battlefield again. But right now, you are stuck in a situation of hopefully get a Harness Dragon and then pop the one that doesn't come, that comes in exhausted, and then get something else out. Okay. Did we draw? Well, no, of course we haven't drawn. I was going to say, have we drawn a...
Yeah, you're actually not drawing anything more, but you can baited hook into 2 draws.
So yeah, that's probably not the worst play, actually, to try and go and get something a bit deeper. You can also equip more equipment to the Harness Dragon to make that an 11. So that would take out the Kaiser and the Mind Splitter. And then if you can maybe get yourself a Hidden Blade to kill off something else, yeah, you are still in like a really weird situation, though, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely not in an advantageous position, to say the least. The beta hook doing a little bit of work, but what were the 2 cards? Did you catch him, or is he saying it hasn't resolved just yet?
I think he's saying he can draw the 2 cards first because the creature died first, and then I think they're trying to contest it and say, no, you need to do the bait hook first.
Well, I mean, the creature only died because he baited hook, so I don't know what the dilemma is. Wait. Baited hook brings it up to 5. I guess it's a judge call, but I don't see, honestly, the issue. The death nail trigger is trying to find out what happens first.
That's what I'm presuming is, like, does he have to do the baited hook first because it triggered first, and then you get to the death?
I see what the issue is. Of course, I'm forgetting about the simple fact that baited hook searches the top 5. So yeah, they're trying to. I mean, in this scenario, it would be baited hook got triggered first, Unsung Hero got triggered second. So if you keep it with the classic last, first in, last out, wouldn't Unsung Hero trigger first?
I would think it is. I don't know if the Draven's maybe trying to say, like, no, I want you to look at the top 5 first. So that way, if you whiff all your cards, it's on you rather than me. So the Draven does seem to be one of those kind of players where they are kind of like pushing the rules a little bit more.
Yeah, or it could be a situation where you decide to, one goes on the chain first, but they might be going on the chain at the exact same time. So you should be able to sequence it the way you like. But let's see what the decision, because these are one of the more intricate little intricacies of Riftbound that a lot of people aren't too familiar with. Maybe some judges in the chat can let us know. Someone's feeling confident that baited hook does indeed go first before the death nail. I could definitely see it both ways. But the resolution of the kill part, not the cost. So beta hook has to resolve and then the death nail. Okay, fair enough. So it looks like the judges did agree with chat. So beta hook does see the top 5 cards. He kind of gave a slight approval, nod of approval. So saw the set brawler.
Yeah, you've got Set Brawler, first mate, a Salvage, a Hidden Blade, and I'm not too sure on the 5th card.
Yeah, I just don't think any of these cards are going to be able to conquer both of these battlefields. But I say that, but a pit crew, or not a pit crew, a first mate, is that going to be enough? I mean, if only first mate did it twice, because you could push forward, ready it, push back. And the worst thing about a first mate is that you have to do it right on the play. You didn't even push forward with the Harness Dragon, of course. So it's just not looking too good. I think with
So,
that baited
in the
hook,
last 11 draws, we've seen 2 of the first mates. So, do you now draw into the 3rd first mate with these 2 Death Knell triggers?
there's the one draw. There's the Heart of the Cards. He puts it towards the back and is the third
No, it's 2
dragon.
sabotages. Or was it the dragon?
What did you think it was?
It was
Maybe
Fiora.
it was
I thought it was
Fiora.
two
Is it?
sabotages.
It was a
Fiora.
kind of light blue. Oh, Fiora. Yeah, it looks to be the Fiora worthy. I thought it was a dragon because I saw the blue sky, but the Fiora worthy might be what she needs. Wait a minute. Fiora goes
'Cause you
down
can
for
pop
3.
off, right?
BF sword goes on the Set Brawler. Oh no, he's already a mighty. Actually, no. You could use the Set ability,
right?
cross the mighty, ready it for 1 order. But the overzealous fan, at the minimum, you stop him from conquering both, or not conquering, but from holding both battlefields. The question is, how are you stopping those 3 might mechs on the follow-up? This is
Well, if you're... Oh, yeah. Trying to think the plays here. So... The 7, 6, 13... 9... No. 17 might on the Trefarians. So 20 might with the additional +1 to each. And then there is the 2 for the Zealous. So yeah, your issue here is, do you have a way of dealing with a Zealous as well? Which we know the answer is no. They've sabotaged the hand. Obviously, in this case, you can just get rid of the red combat trick
and
here.
with a
'cause that's the one that's
Draven
pretty
player
much-
kind of memeing here, hands up, saying I have nothing to do with it. But is that
Got
a
nothing to do.
double fight or flight that might have just sealed the deal, sealed the fate for Fiora? Because fight or flight can get removed, but that is an overzealous and a fight or flight, and you're only going to be able to push up with 2 units, so you're able to hold guaranteed one of these battlefields, guaranteed going up to 8. Does he still do it, or does he offer up the fist bump? Because a fight or flight should be all she wrote, as Draven, unless I'm seeing there. Oh, no, those are ready runes.
So Fiora can also go readied as well. She can target herself, I believe. So she just come down for free. Obviously, they've put the BF sword on now, so I don't know if they're going to try and walk the dragon into the camp and then just try and take as much as they can with them.
Yeah.
The place is 6, 12, so they're 13. You can take out the Orana and the Kaiser, I believe. If they've still got runes up, which they do, they can then riposte this if they try to fight or fly, so if they try and increase the might. So, I mean, I don't hate this. It's just not the most ideal, I suppose.
You
Because
know,
you still have to deal with the overzealous.
I think the winning play here is the fight or flight on this Harness Dragon, because he's trying to get back the BF swords back into base to get able to attach. If you aren't able to kill the Harness Dragon, you aren't able to ready the Fiora worthy. That is what his energy costs to a might. But Agito, something we weren't taking into consideration, is that a hidden card? It almost looks like, oh, it is. It's a fight or flight. So I think he's going to be able to hold with the Rambunctious, or not the Rambunctious, the Ferris Forerunner, I should say, because you push back the overzealous, neglecting him to hold there. And then how are you getting rid? I mean, I guess we're going to find out.
Now ready? So they are now 8 might? So they're just bigger than the overzealous. They can just walk into here, they take this out, you try and fight or flight, you will now riposte. We know there's one in hand, we know there's one on the field. Draven does have the runes up to fight or flight it still, but then the Fiora can also ready itself with the BF sword and walk in as well, so it's not the worst situation to be in, it's just not the best situation to be in either.
Yeah, I think it is a losing situation because, as you mentioned, there's a fight or flight in hand. And if that is indeed a fight or flight, as the hidden card set brawler gets pushed back, he's saying, I'm going to be able to control both of these battlefields. The repulsed getting taken out. So now you're adding some might. I would imagine you add the might to Fiora, might as well. But let's see what
Yeah,
this hidden card is going to be, because if it is a fight or flight, Fiora can't be in two places at one time and sees the picture being painted from Draven. That should be very well a GG. As I said, you just can't be on both battlefields. There's no kind of re-ready
yeah,
because of that situation. So yeah, GG. Fiora did a valiant effort, but Draven just doing what he does and takes the tempo and doesn't let go of the gas. Well done. Are you impressed with what you saw, Algito, from Draven? Can he maybe make it all the way?
yeah. This seems to be, as we said, a little bit slightly different of a Draven build. It's not the usual mid range that you see with the monsters coming down, trying to be a bit more aggressive. Obviously, they're using the regular package of the Mind Splitters, the Overzealous fans, obviously Draven. Forerunner, as we've said, it could be the sideboard card here, so you don't normally see it turn game one, but you'll see it game 2 and 3. Again, 6 cost for a 12 cost worth of units is really good in any game.